If you're working your butt off to book more clients but are still not making enough money, this video is for you. Getting more bookings doesn't necessarily make us more money. So I'm gonna break down the 3 pricing mistakes that keep photographers stuck at the bottom and the simple fixes that will help you earn more per booking so you can finally get that fancy new lens you've been eyeballing or have time to book that vacation. Before we can get into the mistakes, you need to understand one number that separates struggling photographers from the most profitable ones. 2 photographers can have near identical businesses, like same number of bookings, same price bracket, same ideal client, yet make wildly different incomes. The difference? ABP, or your average booking price. And you can get this just by calculating the total revenue across a period of time, let's say a year, divided by the number of bookings. As an example, you can have 2 photographers that are identical in experience, skill, starting price, but photographer A makes $50,000 a year with 20 bookings. That would be an ABP of $2,500. And photographer B makes $100,000 with those same 20 bookings, a $5,000 ABP. The difference is their average booking price. Same work, double the income. That's why ABP is the one metric that you should be obsessing over if you actually want to make more profit. And the cool thing is you can actually decide in advance what you want your ABP to be. So for instance, when I started, I knew I didn't want to be the photographer shooting 50 weddings a year and burning myself into the ground. I wanted to do 20 so that I could actually show up and be fully present and really get to know each of my clients and also still have a life. And I also wanted to make $100,000 because at the time, that's what freedom looked like to me. So it was easy for me to figure out what my goal average booking price needed to be. I needed at least $5,000. If you don't know your ABP yet, pause this video right now, calculate it. Seriously, I'll wait. All right, if you got it, if you're clear on this, the next question naturally becomes, how do you hit it? And the great thing is there's actually a lot you can do to boost this number. So let's dig into 3 big pricing mistakes that tank your ABP and how to fix them to instantly raise profits. Mistake number 1 is falling into what I call the projection trap. Projecting is when you confuse yourself with the client. We often project our own personal limitations onto our clients. Things like our personal beliefs around money, what we find expensive, or even like what we believe people are willing to spend based on past experiences or what we've heard from other photographers. We've all been there. Maybe you've thought things like, they're gonna think this is too expensive, or my clients can probably only afford my bottom rates, or even other photographers do it so much cheaper, I just can't charge more. And here's the thing, these will actually feel true. You'll even find evidence to prove yourself right. But after coaching hundreds of photographers, this is one of the biggest hidden barriers that really keep people stuck in that budget zone. But once they break out of it, their income skyrockets. I've had students go from really, really struggling to 6 figures in just 1 year after fixing this mistake. Now, there's obviously other pieces to building a profitable business, but I can tell you, if you don't fix this one thing, your earning potential will always be capped. So here's a surprisingly simple fix. We stop assuming things about our clients. Or if you do assume, just assume the best. Want to know my personal strategy for this? I like to assume that anybody that inquires is actually already my client until proven otherwise. So when doing this, you're simply going to assume that anybody who inquires is your dream client, not just an inquiry. And as your dream client, we can safely assume some other things as well. We can assume that they want you specifically, that they value high quality, and we can assume that they're willing to invest in a premium product and experience that you provide. When you assume the best of your clients, you're going to be able to share your offer with so much more confidence, and that confidence and conviction is really contagious. This leads us perfectly to mistake 2, because even if you nail the energy, if you're making this next pricing mistake, it's still going to cost you thousands. Mistake number 2 is the feature trap. Listing features instead of selling experiences. Here's what happens. Most photographers list features like items on a menu, album, print credit, second shooter, and they're just not really thinking about why it is that this matters. As a result, clients will simply go on to book your bottom package. As an example, as a wedding photographer, you might have second shooter on your price sheet as a line item. Selling the experience could be explaining that you hand select your second shooters who are also very talented lead photographers. This creates contrast by implying other photographers might not have this high-end approach. Or even better would be to show two completely different perspectives of the same exact moment. One angle maybe captures the bride's face as she sees her dad for the first time, and the other captures the dad tearing up. Two perspectives, two totally different feelings being created. But you only get this if you have that second shooter. So when you sell an experience, it skyrockets the value. That means you can have a higher price. Features by themselves have a lower perceived value because there's no emotional connection. But most photographers just send a price sheet filled with features and then call it a day. They expect that the clients are gonna just get it and understand the value on their own. To me, this is lazy and it's costing you money. If you care about your clients and really believe in what you're offering, and you should, otherwise why are you offering it? Then it's actually your job to communicate that value in a very clear way that helps clients understand. So think of it this way. If you've curated this amazing offer for your clients and they don't choose it because you didn't explain it well, then you've probably done them a massive disservice. There's a lot that goes into great sales conversations, but one of my favorite fixes for this is delivering what I call an experience preview. Here's how it works. Give your clients a preview of what they'll actually experience when they choose your higher packages. The key to this is you want to show, not tell. So when you hand over a price sheet, that's telling, and that's really only appealing to logic, which is not how we sell photography. We're not over here selling widgets. In our line of work, we're selling emotion. However, one of our challenges as photographers is much of that value that we deliver is going to be in this intangible emotional experience that they really don't get to experience until all of the work is done and delivered. So our job is really to bring that value forward and help them feel it now before the booking. I shared an example of how this might work with, say, a second shooter, but this applies to everything you offer. Another example might be, instead of just listing your album options, really paint the picture. Talk about what it will feel like to hold the album in their hands for the first time, the weight of it, the texture. Talk about flipping through the pages on their first anniversary, reliving every moment. Talk about sitting with their kids 10 years from now, their little hands turning the pages, asking about every single little detail. That's the experience. That's what they're actually buying. So with your offers, really take some time to think through the emotions your clients want to feel and then connect that with what you offer. And when you can give a preview of the future experience, they're gonna understand the value before they can actually experience it. Now, I could do an entire video series just on sales conversations alone. And actually inside my business program, Ignite, we spent 2 full weeks breaking down pricing psychology, how to build packages that practically sell themselves, and all the juicy sales strategies that feel good while also getting people to book. Plus, you get coaching and personalized feedback to really cater things to your specific niche and ideal clients so that you're not figuring this out alone. If you want in on the next round, waitlist is in the description below. All right, mistake number 3 is the complexity trap, or what I refer to as the Cheesecake Factory effect. Now, Cheesecake Factory has this overwhelmingly large menu that just takes forever to look through, and then another hour just to decide. And maybe it's just me, but I get exhausted trying to choose. For that reason, I actually avoid Cheesecake Factory. And there's actually a scientific term for this called decision fatigue. Studies have found that when we're given too many choices, it actually can block people's ability to make a decision. So they end up taking the easiest path, which is typically no decision at all. Or at best, they might go with the safest, lowest priced option. And for our clients, that often means either going with another photographer or choosing our bottom package. Neither of these are what we want. And this mistake really comes from thinking that if you give more options, there's going to be more chances that they're going to like something and then actually buy. But confused minds don't buy. So the fix for this is you want to think in terms of signature dishes, or a great way to get into this kind of headspace is begin observing differences with different brands. You could look at Cheesecake Factory versus a fine dining experience that you love, or TJ Maxx versus Chanel. What do you notice when you compare those budget brands to the more premium ones? One key difference is budget brands tend to pile on a lot of options, and premium brands hand select options. They say, I know you and I feel like this will be perfect for you. You know how people say less is more? It's not actually about taking away choice, but rather using our taste and our knowledge to curate the best options for our people. And that curation is actually part of a premium experience. It shows we know our clients, we understand what's best for them, and we really value their time. So by hand selecting the right options for them, we're not wasting their time by making them sort through all the mediocre choices on their own. Again, let's not be lazy and do what the majority of photographers do by just throwing everything at them and hoping something will stick. Instead, we're going to show that we really know them and we've done the work to make it easy. What this does is removes friction from the buying process and makes it easier to say yes. Now you know 3 of the biggest mistakes lowering your average booking price. Next, you're gonna wanna understand how the full system works together to actually bring in those dream clients consistently. That's what we'll break down in this next video here. I'll see you there.